thinking about it. But I was also going to ask you, while we have time, about the US election, being American yourself, I believe.
You believe? Oh wait, I have something to tell you.
You might have a unique insight. I know you do follow American politics closely. I mean, so just start kind of at the beginning. Well, actually, starting at the end. In the news a lot these days is about how Trump still isn't accepting defeat. What do you think about Donald Trump?
Well, that's a big subject. So I'll just let's start with him not leaving office.
Yeah.
Just removing this from the press and seeing the kinds of stories that we're seeing and hearing about Donald Trump and how he's going to take over the country and he's going to have a military coup and he's an evil dictator. Well, here's what I think. I think he hates losers.
Yeah.
He can't be a loser. So essentially, he appears to me to be constitutionally unable to admit that he has lost.
Yeah.
Now, I think he will leave. There will not be a military coup. He is just psychologically having to come to terms with the fact that not that he's lost, because he will claim, as long as he's alive, I believe he will say he did not lose this election. And it was all down to fraud, but he will come, and I think he's coming close now, to understanding he's going to leave the White House in January. So I don't think there's anything really to be afraid of. I think he hears his father's voice in his head, a very brutal man who seems to have ruined several of his children. If you've heard anything from his niece, how her father, Trump's older brother, died an alcoholic alone because I guess he was abandoned by the parents because he was a loser. And I think this is, but psychology I think is the reason why Donald Trump hasn't left, and I think he will, and I think it'll be fine.
Why do you think Donald Trump has become such a hate figure, especially to people in the center, you could say, maybe on the left, maybe you could say?
I think Donald Trump, Donald Trump is a hate figure for a certain part of the population. Not all of it, obviously, because he's still he came so close to winning the election, in the sense that he got so many more votes than anybody ever expected him to get.
Both times.
Well, it should have been a cakewalk. Hillary Clinton should have beat him handily. In fact, they wanted him to be the candidate because they thought she could beat him so easily. And then Joe Biden, these ideas that now they're saying Biden won by 5 million votes. Oh, well, it's Donald Trump. He should have won by 50 million at a minimum.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't hate Trump.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Maybe they should. He's a horrible man. He's just awful in every way.
Yeah, people think that.
Yeah, he just is. But it's the reasons why particularly a certain part of the population hates Trump so much, have much more to do with his personality and the way he expresses himself than it has to do with who he is, what he believes. It's much, and what his policies, he's not a politician. He doesn't have any well thought out ideology or policies anyway. So, but generally what he's done is not different to what Biden will do in office. Trump has not been led by his own lights. He has been led by people around him who have told him what to do. The only success in his entire administration was a gigantic tax cut for the richest people in the country.
It's the only thing I can name that he's done in his whole time in office, apart from all the executive decrees banning people from the Middle East and something to do with building a wall. Did he build the wall? I can't remember.
It seems he's built a large part of the wall,
Oh,
but
you see,
people,
so
but
some success.
But exactly, but people, a lot of people who voted for him don't seem to be worried about the wall.
I was going to ask you, so what do you think people like about Trump? So obviously we can see what people don't like about him, but what's his attraction?
Do you know, it's so hard to say. In some ways, his attraction is kind of, for his followers, his attraction is very similar to what Biden's attraction is for Biden's followers, which is that he's not Biden. He's not Clinton.
Yeah.
He's not part of the Democratic establishment. He's not even part of Washington, full stop, or any establishment. That's really part of it. I guess the other part of it is there's a certain segment of the population who likes the way he talks because he talks like them, because they don't feel he's talking down to them, because he sounds like them. He's also very he's a sort of a man with money, but very much rejected by other people with money.
Yeah.
He doesn't talk like someone who indeed he hasn't been to Harvard. He's not well educated.
Doesn't want to go to Harvard.
Well, he's gone to Wharton, which is also, it's the University of Pennsylvania. It's a very good business school, but very good.
He's been there. He wants to go.
Seems like he says he has been there.
All right.
So, apparently, who can say? What you see in American politics is sort of just a persona, and Trump's persona has been very successful in America. Now, a lot of people would say the only thing that appeals to Trump's followers is his sort of overt racism. And there are clearly people who, you see the kind of right-wing paramilitary groups, the Charlottesville thing talking about Jews will not replace us. There are sort of outright racists and anti-Semites that follow Trump and like the fact that he doesn't interfere with their impression that he is protecting the purity of the white race. Now, so I think he is their leader. He's the leader of people who resent elites talking down to them and what they call the expert class, being always told what to think and what's right. He doesn't talk down to people. And a lot of commentators say that in his first run in 2016, his populist rhetoric around jobs and bringing back industries and getting people jobs again, his anti-globalist stance, all those things were very attractive messaging to people. And I think that he didn't do that this time. And I don't know if this is right, but there are a lot of good commentators in America off the mainstream who are saying that he had somehow missed something by not going back to that populist messaging, and attracting a working class that feels sort of disenfranchised.
Do you think Biden will make a good president?
Well, it depends on what you mean by a good president. What do you mean? What are you asking?
I suppose.
What is a good president?
In the sense that a lot of people now are breathing a sigh of relief. They think, oh, thank goodness, we've banished the devil. Now, we can get back to the times of respectability. America can get back to its leading role in the world. I don't know what those people are expecting sort of on the home front, in American politics itself. I suppose a lot of people hope, and I'm just saying, I don't know if this is true, a lot of people hope that he will introduce measures that will help the people in America, that he will make, I guess everyone wants their president or leader to make life better for the people who live there. Do you think there's any chance that Biden, what do you think the result of it, 4 years from now, how do you think America will be feeling, thinking? What sort of economic state will it be in? Psychological state?
Well, I guess what, again, the American population is very divided. So I don't know which group I'm speaking for. I suppose if I were a Biden supporter, let's say a lot of people don't think Biden's the ideal leader. Some people do. He's becoming more popular now that he's won. I think, so there's the Never Trump crowd, the ones that, I mean, let's just say it. I mean, they're white, they're well educated, they're well-to-do, more or less. I mean, they may not be super rich, but they don't really have problems. I mean, they're doing okay. They don't have problems that they need the government to solve for them.
Yeah.
They're, I guess, socially liberal. So they would say they're not racist. They're pro Black Lives Matter. They're pro LGBTQ, they're, whatever the thing is, they're for action on climate change. I mean, all the things, that anybody who's familiar with the group, of people I'm talking about, those people will be very pleased to have Biden in office because, the saying in America is, we can go back to brunch.
Yeah.
And they'll go back to brunch. And they'll say, Biden's a good steward of the empire. We'll go back to Obama. It'll all be quiet. Obama himself said, won't it be nice to have Biden in office because you won't have to think about him every day. In fact, you don't have to think about him at all. You can just go back to sleep. Yeah. Your government has everything under control.
Yeah.
I don't think that anything will fundamentally change, and I'm quoting Biden on that.
Yeah.
If you look at the future, no one can know what Biden will do because he won't be in office until January. I imagine he'll come up with a very impressive task force to deal with COVID because he'll want to show that he's taking the lead, and unlike Trump, I mean, this is going to be the thing. In the same way that Trump didn't want anything that he did to be a follow-on from Obama, Biden is going to want to make sure that the thing he does particularly is distinguish himself from Trump in every possible way.
No.
So we will have it. So, I mean, more or less symbolic things like he'll go back into the Paris Climate Agreement. He might get into the JCPOA back again because that was Obama's initiative, but that's not clear. I mean, after all, as of now, he will have a Senate led by the Republicans, and whatever he can't do, I don't think he wants to do very much anyway, but he can blame the Republicans for preventing it.
Yeah.
What you're seeing now is you're seeing the functionary. So one of the big questions that people were asking was, how will the Bernie Sanders people do under Biden? What's going to happen with the progressive, all the young people who are excited about Biden? Even within the Black community, the younger people were much more excited about Bernie, it seemed, than the older Black population that voted for Biden. So within society, and even working class people, there is that group of whatever it is, the 9 million who voted for Obama and twice and then voted for Trump. Those were white people, white working class people.
Yeah, definitely.
Disillusioned by Obama. But so what we're seeing now is, he won't put any progressives in his cabinet. It looks like his advisors or his transition team are made up of basically lobbyists from the different, defense, Wall Street, pharmaceuticals, the usual suspects, Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
And the people, the list of cabinet members that's been named is very conservative, very war hawky. I mean, we're going to be going back into more wars. If anything can be said for Trump, it's that he tried to get troops out of Afghanistan and was thwarted.